Okay, so Bill, we're going to talk about the mission, your mission over Germany during World War II, November 26th, 1944. And the reason we're going to talk about that particular mission on that date is because you wrote an article about it. And I had the opportunity to read the article. I thought it was quite an amazing story. But before we get into that, let me ask a couple questions just to give some background. How was it that you became a combat pilot? You were 20 years old.
18.
When you became a pilot, and then in 1944 you were 20. How was it that you became a combat pilot? What was the
My motive?
the route? Well, your motive, and how did it happen?
I enlisted at 18. My parents gave me permission. My mother was hesitant, but my dad felt that if I didn't do it, I'd regret it the rest of my life. And it was the only honorable thing to do.
And so you selected.
We were fighting Hitler, Germany, the Nazis. We're Jewish, and Jewish Americans, so I had to enlist, I felt. Yes.
Was it your choice to become a pilot? Did you select that branch of the service?
Yes, I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Uh-huh.
I had a cousin who was already a fighter pilot, Major Sylvan Feld, and in the North African invasion, almost right at the start of when the United States went to war, 1942, he was the leading American ace. FELD, Major Sylvan Feld, FELD.
Uh-huh.
And I hoped that when I became a pilot, when I got my wings, I'd be able to eventually join his squadron in Europe.
I see. Okay. Now,
European theater. We weren't in Europe yet.
no. Now, the airplane that you flew on November 26th, 1944, was the P-51.
Yes.
Can you briefly describe that airplane?
It was state-of-the-art of American fighter planes. We didn't have jets then. The Germans soon came in with jets, which were far superior to what we had in terms of speed. But the P-51 was, I think it was pivotal to the war effort, the entire war effort, because it enabled our American bombers to go to the deepest parts of Germany that were heretofore beyond the range of our other American fighters and the British fighters to protect the bombers and bomb the German homeland. And if that could be done, bombing the German homeland, it would destroy their infrastructure and would make their armies, their submarines, without support, which the infrastructure of the homeland enabled.
Mm-hmm. So there were two kinds of planes on that day, November 26th, that were flying from England, where your base was, to Germany. They were the bombers.
4-engine bombers. They were called, popular name was Flying Fortresses, and the other bombers that we had were called Liberators, also 4-engine bombers.
And then the fighters, which were sent to protect the bombers.
Right. All P-51s at this point. Yeah. P-51s came into operation in March and April. No, March, April, May of 1944.
And you were, as a fighter pilot, flying the P-51, you were protecting the bombers specifically from the Messerschmitt, from the German fighters.
That was our job, yeah.
Now, you write how you took off from East Anglia, which is near the North Sea coast, and you flew over the North Sea over Holland, and then when you reached the northwestern part of Germany, there was a landmark, Dummer Lake, and you mentioned how you looked towards the coast.
Well, before that, it was when we just got into Germany after Holland, and the P-51 is about twice the speed of the bombers that we were protecting. but we were weaving over them like this. And in the course of looking to the right, I looked all the way back to where the bomber stream was coming in over Holland, and I was amazed the first time I ever saw it. This was 100 miles long, our bombing armada, an incredible sight. And there were only little dots coming in over still coming in over the coast. Tiny, tiny dots. And they were just about almost 100 miles away. But you could see the big bombers here, and then just coming into the little tiny dots there. And to put this kind of power and deadly effort every day almost, it was almost routine to run 100 bombers and about 400 fighters protecting them. Almost every day I was in awe. That's all. Okay.
All right. Then you're over Germany. You hear on your radio someone saying bogeys ahead,
Yeah,
and then they say bandits ahead. Bandits at 12 o'clock, bandits at 3 o'clock. And I'm just quoting from your article. So what does that mean, bogeys and bandits?
bogeys are unidentified aircraft. You don't know whether they were ours or Germans. And bandits are when you identify them as enemy aircraft.
So the aircraft ahead in the distance identified as enemy aircraft.
Yeah.
What is the now? I should mention that you're part of a team of airplanes.
Yeah.
A team of 4.
Well, a squadron of which we were the second flight. Red flight is the lead flight, yellow flight, second flight, then blue, and then green.
Right. And you were yellow flight.
Yes.
And four pilots, 4 planes, 4 pilots, all
That's correct.
P-51s.
Yeah.
Then the head was Fred. I'm quoting from your article.
He was the flight leader, Fred Haviland.
Fred Haviland. You were number 2.
Yeah.
So he was yellow 1. You
I
were
was his
yellow 2.
wingman that day.
Right. And then behind you, the other 2 were Charlie Kelly,
Charlie Kelly and
And-
Barney Barrett.
Barney Barrett. Okay, so that's your team. Part
Yeah,
of a much
it
larger
was a
squad.
team
Yeah.
until it was impossible to stay together because of the combat.
So now, so you see these bandits, the Messerschmitts, a whole
Yeah.
gaggle of Messerschmitts
Yeah,
up
they
ahead.
didn't fly in formation. They just flew in a. That's the
Like a
word for
swarm.
it, big swarm gaggle.
What was the response of Yellow Flight, the 4 airplanes?
Oh, there was no verbal response. In fact, you kept off the air as much as possible to only talk when it was absolutely necessary. So to allow important things to be said without interference. I think I better lay out how the battle was.
Yes, go, please.
Okay, so here you have the bomber stream coming in, 4-engine bombers in their squadrons, and groups, 60, 60, 60, 60, approximately, in this stream. We happened to be, that day, at the head of the bomber stream, protecting the leading box of bombers. And it so happened that at the moment that bogeys were called out, red flight was flying over to the left of the bomber stream, and we were coming in, crossing them over to the right of the bomber stream. The gaggle was heaviest, it so happened, on the right-hand side, as they were coming in from central Germany and eastern Germany. Well, not all the way that way. That was their direction only coming in. So we were the closest. Yellow flight was the closest to the leading gaggle. Anywhere from 50 to 100 planes. It's hard to say how many, but you just get an inkling. And we estimated it after about 70 were coming into it. And there was no response verbally.
No verbal response.
No. Fred just turned right into them. And because we were closest, and we attacked them.
So all four.
Yes,
So you just flew into this
yes.
swarm
And,
of messages.
blue and, well, it would be green, were behind us. Flight
Mm-hmm.
went into them.
Mm-hmm. And then you
And there was
described.
a reason.
Yes,
There was a
please.
reason. When General Doolittle came and took command of the 8th Air Force Fighter Command, we, prior to that, the orders were that we were to stay with the bombers until they were attacked, which was ridiculous.
Mm.
That gave the initiative to the Germans and put us on the defensive
Mm-hmm.
instead of going after them and having the initiative to not determine all the terms of the battle, but at least the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the bomber pilots and crews felt that was the wrong thing to do. They wanted us to stay close and protect it, but it was the right thing to do. And it turned out that fewer bombers were lost with this strategy. And actually, we shot down more, had more victories with fighter bombers.
How would you compare the technical capabilities of the P-51 compared to the ME-109, the Messerschmitt?
I would say they were about equal. The Messerschmitt had a lighter wing loading because they were carrying much less gas. We were carrying a full gas load.
You had a much longer distance to cover. You needed more.
Well, yeah, we had to get back too.
Mm-hmm.
And they were flying from the,
Mm-hmm.
virtually the ground up, and didn't have much need for a lot of gas. So they might be able to turn a little tighter with a lighter wing loading. But I think we had an immense advantage in that we were very aggressive.
Mm.
And that aggression accounted for a lot if you were a fighter pilot.
Now, in your article, you described some of that combat. You call it chaos.
It was chaos.
Let me quote something. Fast-moving violence changing in fractions of a second.
Yeah, you can't, what I'm telling you that we turned it, that was like that.
Yeah. And so you're firing, they're firing at you, you're firing at them.
Head on. And you try to be the last one to turn, because if you're the last one to turn, you can get the other fellow. And he would try to be the last one, to turn up, down, right, from the... We're firing, I didn't see any hits. I didn't. And that was fractions of a second. We just went right to each other. But then we turned around and came back because they were now after the bombers, and we were either on their tail or behind them, which is exactly where we should be.
Then you heard on the radio, Yellow 3, that's Charlie Kelly, saying, calling you and saying, Yellow 2, that's you.
That's much later.
All right, so tell me what happened there.
That was about, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds later.
34 seconds.
Much later.
Tell me about that incident.
Well, I have to tell you first that when Fred and I, as his wingman,
Fred is your the team leader.
Went to go after the Germans, who were now starting to attack the bombers, he immediately almost was on the tail of one ME-109. He shot at, and it started to flake off and smoke badly, and we knew it was gone. And we were going down after others who were diving now, and after the Germans were diving now, trying to get out of range of streams, bullets, because they had a lot of machine guns, but they were very inaccurate. I must tell you this part. A bomber is a sitting duck. It flies straight and level like this, and a fighter plane can go weave in and out, and very hard to shoot it. Anyway, to shoot it down. So we were going down very fast, and Fred got on the tail of the second one, As I recall, it's the whole wing broke off, I saw, and he got two there, and then we were down to about 6,000 feet. Previously, we were at 26,000 feet, and those that altitude melted away just like that. Whoosh. You know, when you're diving down at 300, 400, 500 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, so there were two rescues of airplanes during that aerial battle. One, your airplane was saved by.
Oh, you're
Charlie
talking
Kelly.
about that's
Yeah.
when we were going. Fred saw a third ME-109. Actually, it was 3 or 4 planes, but he was going after the lead one, which was at low altitude and starting to climb up. And he was going down very steeply, and so was I, but I was behind him a fair distance. And I saw the lead plane, ME-109, come up and start to shoot Fred, who by that time realized he had to pull out of his dive or he'd go right in. And I was able to get behind the ME-109 and I shot it down.
So you probably saved Fred Haviland's life in the airplane.
Yeah, well,
That's what happened.
that was routine.
And then, behind you was Charlie Kelly.
But you never felt it was routine. I say it now
Right.
because it happens so often
Right,
to so many
right.
of us. And then, go ahead, you were saying?
Charlie Kelly was behind you. He's yellow 3, you're yellow 2.
At that, yeah, but that was before I got that plane off Fred. And when you hear yellow 26,
Yellow
somebody's
26,
behind
means
me.
he's behind you.
And that's-
Your enemy
that-
aircraft behind you.
Yes, and we're shooting. I didn't see it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been doing that, doing anything there. But I immediately just swerved, whatever, and I heard, I got him. Very calmly.
That's
Barney
Kelly.
saying, I got him.
Oh, Barney.
And yes, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Charlie warned me, but Barney got him, and out of the corner of my eye, I could see an ME-109 going into a death dive. Yeah.
Right, so you have this aerial combat, harrowing experiences. Two airplanes. You are rescued by your.
By the way, it's not harrowing. I don't think you think that way, except later.
Later, when you reflect on it.
Yeah, you can't be thinking of, oh, this is terrible or that's terrible. You just have to do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
You have no time to be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
No time. If you're afraid, you can't do it because you're thinking wrong. You have to be thinking as a warrior in an attack.
Then at some point, Fred decides our mission is over. We're turning back. We're turning back. We're going west. We're going back to base in
That's
England.
right. Well, we found out later he was out of bullets. He didn't know that
All right.
until he fired.
Right. Nothing happened.
He was out. Yeah.
So you were heading back, and then while you're heading back, heading now west towards England, still over Germany, you see
Climbing.
Charlie Kelly's plane is
He was
behaving
flying
funny.
erratically.
Erratic fire.
That's
flying.
right.
And
And
what happened there?
we called, the 3 of us, each one, Charlie, and he didn't answer. And he would be all right, and then just fly out of form, going somewhere else. And Barney Barrow, his element leader, went close to him and tried to skid so he could look at, you know how to skid? You put your rudder left and you reverse your aileron. So he was skidding looking in, and Kelly just swerved right into him, and they blew up.
Both of them.
Yeah. And we've all thought about this so many times. Why did Kelly do that? I think because of the odd position of Barrett. He wasn't flying like this. He was trying to look into the cockpit. And Kelly might have thought, oh, he should go like that. And he didn't know what he was doing. And they blew up. That's it.
So that's yellow flight. You started out in the morning from England with 4 planes, and you returned to England with 2 planes.
Yeah.
To a 50% loss. All right, and then you arrive back at base in East Anglia, and you get debriefed. Tell me about that. What was the conclusion of what's your overall impression, or how do you
lost 3, and
reflect back on that?
I think our squadron and group shot down about 15 or 20. I don't remember at the moment now. But we were very successful that day. And
the bombers were...
Except for those who were lost.
Yes, of course. The cost was enormous. But you're successful as the bombers hit their target, which was an oil refinery in Germany.
And supposedly they put it out of action. The target was the largest oil refinery going in Germany, supplying something like a quarter or 1/3 of all their oil and gasoline. So it was an important mission and a success.
Later, it was determined that the refinery was demolished by the bombers.
Like the pictures that were taken by the aircraft that was sent over to photograph what had happened.
You wrote that you participated in 63 missions.
Yeah.
All of them over Germany?
No, there are a few over France.
But you select November 26th to write about because
because it was the largest aerial battle of the war.
So you're participating in the largest aerial battle of the war.
Yeah, it just turned out that way. We didn't know that until after the war.
You got a nickname from the team leader, from Fred.
Yeah.
After November 26th.
Correct. It was a tiger. He said you fought like a tiger. And so pilot Bill Lyons said, "Hey, tiger." And others started to, and the nickname stuck. And I got my own plane after that mission, and I called it Tiger's Revenge.
Tiger's Revenge.
Yeah.
Tell me why is it revenge? What's
because if it weren't for World War II and Hitler and his treatment of the Jews and the fact that the rest of the Europe fought against him and there was this war, but Sylvan was lost.
Your cousin?
He was
Sylvan. So it was
my
revenge
dad-
for Sylvan.
Yeah, it was to remember him, the name, and my dad, because my dad had a weak heart. And he, I think he would have lived, but he was worried sick about me when I went into combat, Mom said. He couldn't sleep or anything. And he, for World War II, he's been alive a lot longer.
So while you were in combat in Europe, that's when he died?
No. I was about to go overseas. I was in operational training at Ferry, Florida. And I wrote that I won't be here long. And Dad knew what I meant. And he had the heart attack, and Mom sent a telegram, and I was able to catch a a light bomber up to Mitchell Field from Florida. And I got there just as he was declining. And I was able to grab his hand. And Mom said, Billy's here, Billy's here. And he didn't. I didn't feel a squeeze. And he, doctor said, please leave. And when I left and I looked what the doctor was doing, he took a syringe and he just pushed it into my dad's chest. And my dad, get out, groan. And then the doctor came out and said he couldn't do anything.
Trying to activate the heart.
I don't know. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Epinephrine problem.
This hypodermic. God. It looked horrible. Horrible.
Then when you were writing to your mom, you wrote to your mother every day when you were in England.
Yeah.
And
She wrote to me.
And she wrote to you every day. And then you say that you lied to her and she lied to you.
Yeah. That was for each other.
Right. So,
I would
in what
tell
way
her-
did you lie to her?
I would tell her not about the missions, but about how I went to Buckingham Palace, or I went to this concert, and I heard Mira Hess play, and in London, or I went traveling in the countryside there. And she didn't write me that she saw in the New York Times that I was listed with 2 other fellows from my squad, that I had shot down this plane. And it was in the top. And we didn't tell each other. Very good laugh about it.
You received a lot of medals.
Yeah.
That you have here in your
Yeah,
apartment.
I remember that.
And you have photographs. So I think we're gonna take photos or videos of the medals and photographs, and make that part of this presentation. But thank you so much, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's it? Good.
This is a showing of the medals I received during World War II. The middle medal, the one with the red ribbon, is the French Legion of Honor, which I got 2 years ago, belatedly. And the French really do kiss you on both cheeks when you get it. And next to it on the left is the Distinguished Flying Cross, and to the left of that is the Air Medal. Wings on the right, all the way on the right. And, the little ribbon with the gold encircling it is the presidential units. We got 2 presidential unit citations. That's for the whole 355th Fighter Group, and we got 2 of them. So. Congressional record, I was stunned to find my name in the congressional record. I was called up by the representative who put it in, who met me at an airport where my resurrected P-51 was being flown, and he said, "You're going to be in the congressional record," and I didn't believe him. And then I got a copy of it on my computer. He sent it to me, and there it is. And, it speaks for itself, yeah. That's a photo taken by the photographer on the base in Steeple Morton. By the way, do you notice that we have a tie on? We always wore ties on our mission because maybe we could use the tie for a tourniquet or something. You never knew what you might need if you were shot down. Oh, this is... You see me supposedly driving a Jeep. Well, I did learn to drive a Jeep, and the circumstance was kind of funny. I wasn't on the mission that day, and I went to the briefing anyway because I wanted to get a ride into town because I was going into London. And as I walked into the briefing room, my commanding officer motioned me, come over, quick. And I went over to see him, and he said, I want you to go back to the barracks, and I want you to pick up my musette bag and bring it here right now. Take the Jeep. And I said, I can't. And he said, why not? You're not on a mission. And I said, I can't drive. His jaw dropped. You what? You're flying combat in 51s and you can't even drive an automobile? That's the way he pronounced it. And I said, no, I enlisted at 18. You had to be 18 to get a license in New York City then, and I enlisted, so I never got a license, and I never drove. Oh, you get checked out by the time I get back. Speak to Sergeant Schultz and tell him I said so. Okay, and that was what was done. I got checked out by the sergeant in the 357th Squadron Jeep, and when the mission took off and the runway was clear, I drove with him up and down and circled on this empty runway. Absolutely safe way to learn how to drive, no other cars, and that's how I learned to drive an automobile. That's yeah, this is the victory list of all the 8th Air Force fighter groups, and we were 3rd. Yeah. We also were 3rd, not 3rd, we were 1st in number of losses because we strafed a lot, and that was very dangerous, strafing German airdromes deep into German territory. A lot of flak, and you could do nothing about the flak. And, well, we were 1st in the number of losses. I'm on the right with B Flight, 7 guys, good friends. Had 3 of them who were friends until they passed away. Friends for life. And it's sad to see them. They're all gone now, except me. Lucky. After the war, this was, I think, the first photo in civilian clothes, and that's a Packard automobile, and it wasn't mine. It was one of my pilot friends who bought it because Packard made the Rolls-Royce engine that was used in the P-51, made it under license in Indiana, and that's why he bought a Packard. And anyway, that's the kind of suit I wore then.